What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the News Realm. Today we have a very interesting announcement, and that is the Commodore 64 Ultimate Edition. Not an emulation machine, not a mini console, or any of that stuff you've seen in the past. Commodore is now under new leadership and ownership. And if you're familiar with the YouTube channel Retro Recipes, you've already been aware of this. But for those that aren't aware, let's read this article on TimeExtension.com. Guys, real quick, before we get started, if you like this kind of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified when I upload more videos. Commodore's new ownership unveils the Commodore 64 Ultimate Edition. Commodore International has just announced its first official hardware in over 30 years under its new ownership. A new AMD Xilinx Arctic 7 FPGA-powered recreation of the Commodore 64 called the Commodore 64 Ultimate Edition. Pre-orders for the new computer are currently live, with 3 options being offered on its website. These include the Commodore 64 Ultimate Basic Beige, which is $299, the Starlight Edition, which is $349.99, and the Gold Founders Edition at $499.99. Now, these, of course, the Basic Beige is your classic Commodore look. The Starlight Edition is a translucent color-changing one. Looks really cool. And then the Founders Edition is a gold one, however, still translucent and will have the color-changing effect as well. But there's a lot of little fine details that go into that Founders Edition, which I think makes it really, really cool. I'm not going to be able to get one of these. I'm not saying the prices are bad or anything like that or way high for what you're getting. And we'll go over that in just a second. But, you know, the one I would really want is that Founders Edition. It's just not going to, I got too many things otherwise lined up and funds are kind of tied up and everything else. So they'll probably be gone by the time I get back around and maybe could get one. But for those of you that are hardcore Commodore fans, and you really want something special, go for that one. Absolutely. Those who decide to order the console will get a fully assembled machine featuring the AMD Xilinx Arctic 7 FPGA, running a recreation of the original C64 motherboard, said to be at least 99% compatible with all 80s and 90s games, cartridges, and peripherals, as well as HDMI video, Wi-Fi, and USB. Wi-Fi. Could you imagine if they managed to make some of them games like online play or whatever? That would be crazy. Who knows what they have in store. As has been pointed out in several places in reaction to the announcement, it appears this new product is based on the Ultimate 64 Elite 2 board, created by the engineer Gideon Zwetzer. I probably butchered your name, buddy. I'm sorry. I just butcher names. That's what I do. I go around with a big hatchet and butcher names all the time. I'm just like that. Oh well. Who is counted among the list of names on the Commodore website as a launch partner. On this website, it is stated that shipments for orders the company receives are expected to go out in October or November of 2025. Though there is some small print buried underneath the announcement video which suggests these dates are not guaranteed, and that the product design and features are still subject to change, so you should bear that in mind when placing an order. So, then it goes on through all the specs, and I mean, there's a lot going on here, all right? I'm going to include the full article down in the description, so if you want to read the full article, go there. I'm also going to leave it right to the actual Commodore 64 Ultimate website, so you can go there and pre-order if you want to, and all that good stuff. Here's a little bit in this part that tells you about who it is and what's going on. Christian Perifractic Simpson is the current CEO of Commodore International, first announced his intentions to purchase the company on June 7th of this year on his YouTube channel, Retro Recipes. And let me just say, if you haven't seen Retro Recipes, give him a watch for sure, because I'm telling you right now, he's the exact opposite of my voice. My voice, you know, goes a little crazy, where he, you know, it's very soft-spoken, and it's very, very intelligent, and that's just, you know, that's the way it is over on Retro Recipes, where we're bringing back the Commodore 64. Okay? It's very relaxing, to say the least. Then, in another video published a few weeks later on June 30th, He revealed that he had been successful in these plans, putting together a team of familiar names from Commodore's history and acquiring the company for a low seven-figure sum. The money for this acquisition has still not been transferred over in full, as payment has been deferred. But, according to the Commodore website, even if there does turn out to be any problems with the acquisition, it claims it has a contract with the previous IP owner that ensures that regardless of the final outcome, these machines will be manufactured as promised. All right, so if you're worried about that, fear not. They will still manufacture the machines. Okay, so basically, and then he's also said on his channel that he can't do like a crowdfunding or whatever because of the way that everything's going on and how it's been acquired and this, that, and the third, because a lot of people wanted to try to help support it and become like a shareholder and whatever. He said he'd be able to provide details on that later, or if any possible way that can be possible, he'll provide details on that at some point, right? So there you go. Now, I know what a lot of people are out there thinking, and I can promise you I am one of them people. But being that it's coming from him, okay, who's like so dedicated to the Commodore platform, like almost just, it's crazy. You think that I'm dedicated to certain stuff. This guy takes it to a whole new level. All right. So when it's to this level, and he provides all the evidence and the details on everything and really is wide open about how the whole process is going, right? So when you take that into account, I don't want you to start thinking what I'm about to say, because I've already thought it, and I'm going to say it. Here we go. Ready? Coleco Chameleon. Or how about Intellivision Amico? Yeah, that one. God. Ugh. So don't think that or think in terms of that. This isn't that, right? The whole Coleco Chameleon, that thing was doomed right out of the gate and was never going to happen. That was just a farce beyond a farce. And, you know, I don't even want to get into that. That was ridiculous. But the Intellivision Amico is more ridiculous because that was actually something that money was handed over. Money has changed hands from consumers to that company, and nothing has happened yet. Absolutely nothing. Some of the games they produced have started showing up on platforms, but not the platform they promised to make. And now that Atari owns Intellivision, do we really think the Amico's ever really going to come out? No, we don't, because they even said that, well, we got to shut down even the thought of it because we can't get enough funds to finish the project. Now, see, and we can go into Tommy Tallarico. We know how he is, whatever. We're not going to do that here because that was a whole different kind of ball game where the whole thing was like a ground up system built from the ground up, going to be completely its own thing. Modern style games, but in the retro style form, yada, yada, yada. You know all the deal. But with this, the Commodore 64 Ultimate Edition is actually still truly just going to be a Commodore 64, obviously with more bells and whistles than the previous one. Upgrades to it that are going to accommodate modern hardware, such as HDMI inputs and things like that. And there's just more proof and evidence that this is legitimately going to happen than any of those other idiotic things that went on in the past, okay? And he even acknowledges, he doesn't acknowledge by name, but he does acknowledge, you know, those past things that we've had to endure, and says that is not the case here. Of course, anybody can say that, but I'm just telling you right now, I've only come to know this guy within the last few weeks watching his channel, and I can promise you, he is as genuine and as open about everything as you could possibly be. Or that he could possibly put out there, you know, legally, I guess you would say. So I think you're okay here. Like, this is something you could confidently pre-order and put your money, because you do have to put your money down right away. But that is also because you're funding, you know, your system that's going to get made, your unit that's going to get made, whatever. And like I said, you got the multiple different variations. The Founders Edition, It's got that gold look, gold keys, gold satin keys or whatever it's got going on there. It's got names of the people etched in the system, like PCB somewhere. There's like a etching or something inside there that's unique to it, I guess. Among other bells and whistles that just look really cool. And yeah, if I can get one, I will. But as it stands right now, I'm going to have to wait a little while to even think about putting a pre-order down on one. So when I come back to it, if it's still there, maybe we'll get one. But I really only just want the Founders Edition because that really looks really cool. But yeah, so there you go. The Commodore 64 Ultimate Edition. If you're a huge Commodore fan, you're going to want to check this out. Like I said, I will leave the links down in the description below of both this article on time extension and to the actual website for the console, computer, whatever you want to call it. People call them many different things, especially when it plays video games. So it is a computer, really. It just came to be known for its video games. And yeah, I just thought that was really, really something interesting. And I want to see this succeed because really it will be the first time that something like this will succeed that's actually real hardware and not some kind of emulation. Because let's face it, the Atari 2600 Plus and the 7800 Plus are great. And I did review the 2600 Plus. Those are great. But, it's still not quite what we're looking for as far as the hardware inside. I love it. I love the fact I can use any cartridges, this, that, and the third. But, there's some liberties taken to get there. But that's okay. It's all right. This will be like the first true successful kind of bringing back an old console, right? In my mind, because none of the other old consoles have been brought. I mean, the mini consoles are cool and all, but that just isn't the same. It just is not the same, right? So, yeah, this right here looks really cool. So, man, I'd like to see this succeed, guys. I really, really would. With that said, I'll catch you all down the road.